Hey everybody, welcome to, I guess this is like Salty Saturday After Dark because we're starting so late. We only got the one match this week, but that's okay because it is a big match. RHAT versus Molestar in Pro Series. But before we talk about that, let's talk about the guy who's gassing with me tonight. Icicles is that guy. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? Just want to point out, Donde, how's it
Don't,
feel to
no,
follow the
no,
crossover
shut,
stats?
oh my god, just shut up. No, let's not, no. I didn't think I'd have to mute you. We're not discussing this. This isn't, no, it's like a pitcher throwing a perfect game. You don't talk to him. He just sits by himself in the dugout. That's it.
Okay. Now I'm doing great. I'm excited to cast this match. It should be really exciting. It may go pretty quickly, knowing one of the players. We'll see how it ends up unfolding. But
I believe you're
yeah, should
talking
be
about
a great
RHAT.
match.
Is he the speediest player in THL? I know he plays very quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if Arhat's ever actually seen the rope in Hearthstone, so we
Oh,
should be in for a good one.
I mean, unless he's watching his opponent play his turn, that might be the only time. But yes,
True,
he is
that's
a
true.
very fast player for AEON and Molestar for Swagoi Black. So this is a pretty awesome matchup here, and we are actually going to start to see for the first time this week on Salty Saturday. We're going to see these new kind of lists that rolled out after the mini set came out earlier this week. So this is a pretty fresh look at some lists that may not be 100% refined, and of course some matchups that we're not entirely used to. So why don't we put those up on the screen for everybody to see, since this is an open list format. I might as well be grammatically correct. So on the left, you will see our Hats decks, and on the right, you'll see Molestar's decks, and they are too small for me to read, so I'm looking at them on a different monitor here. But we are looking at a Highlander mage for our hat, a paladin that is a pure paladin, and the rogue is the very aggressive, I guess, weapon rogue, like the new weapon rogue. Warrior, unfortunately, will not be seen tonight, as that is the ban, but that was more of a control bomb style deck. So, Icicles, you want to talk about Molestar's decks?
Sure. Yeah. So Molstar, his warrior is also banned. He had brought an ETC control warrior, so no warrior tonight on either side. He has brought a new version of the control priest that basically I think you refer to it as stuff priest because it just has an insane amount of generation, being able to rally back your Sethek Weaver and Nazmani Bloodweaver to essentially give yourself quite the ability to generate cards, even parallel with Cyclone Mage, which is his next deck that we'll talk about with the addition of Conjure Mana Biscuit and the Imprisoned Phoenix. Cyclone Mage is back on the menu and it seems to be doing pretty well. And finally, he has brought basically a pre-mini set list of the World Kick Rope. Do not see any new cards here whatsoever. We may see new cards being generated, but that is the straight 30 World Kick Rope list that everyone was used to seeing prior to the mini set. So that one is traditional, but the other two are relatively new to the meta. So should be a pretty good match here. Good to see some new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. World Kick Rogue, one of those decks that just wasn't broken, so not really much to add to it. List was fairly tight. I mean, you could maybe sub things like Brain Freeze for Scimitars. I've seen that before, but generally this 30 is considered to be the 30 cards. One thing you had pointed out, as we were talking about before the start of the show, despite the fact that this is 6 different classes, these are all different decks. The both the rogues are not the same rogue. Both the mages are not the same mage. So nothing will be a mirror match here. Everything will be unique matchups.
Even the Warriors were different, even though we won't see them. So
Yes, that too.
definitely players bring in completely different lineups. So definitely makes for an interesting match to stream for sure.
And as we mentioned there, as we were going through, we did see that the bans were both of the warriors. So no warriors tonight. Sorry for I guess CMAC would be the warrior fan out there that's probably watching. So you won't get any of that tonight, but we're gonna see some good matches. So let's let the players know they're ready to go ahead. And in the meantime, Icicles, why don't you talk about why everyone should sub to our channel?
Absolutely. So subbing to the THL Twitch channel is a great way, first off, for yourself to earn additional channel points, which can be used in a variety of ways now thanks to our illustrious content creators. You can use them to make predictions on certain matches. You can use them to influence the host of Around the Saloon, which happens on Monday. And you can just use them to just have a little more fun than we used to. It helps THL in that we have all this great content to bring you, some prizes here and there with Player of the Week, and also just allowing us to spend our time bringing this great content to you, not having to worry about any silly thing like money because y'all are there for us. So definitely hit that sub button, tell people about us, and enjoy the show tonight.
All true things that Icicles said there. We are looking at this is they're getting started here. This is going to be game 4 of this series, by the way. So AEON currently leads 10-5. This is in the Black Conference of Pro Series. So when we go into game here, RHAT will be on the bottom of your screen, which it looks like they just went into the match here, and Molestar will be on the top of your screen.
And we're starting off with the Pure Paladin against the World Kick Rogue. So generally, you'd think, at least prior to the mini set, that this would be Rogue favored. I would probably still lean towards the Rogue, but the Pure Paladin got a new extra tool in Rally that allows them to be a little more aggressive on the board early in the game. So could see them able to kind of get in front of that Rogue before the generation really kicks in on the Rogue side.
Boy, they were so quick to start. I'm still working on getting into and getting both the players spectate, and they're already just done the mulligan and just, we alluded to Hat being very quick. But this is a different level. So here we go.
Yeah, Molestar is thinking about his turn a little bit, giving you a chance to catch up. He had the option to play the Foxy into Swindle, but it looks like he is opting to get rid of this 1-3 first off, just to make sure that our head doesn't have the opportunity to buff it with what we see as the hand of it all in our head's hand. So.
Yeah, definitely a savvy play in regards to knowing what's in your opponent's list, and of course the win conditions for the Paladin is for that the curve to get out of control pretty quickly. But Molestar does a great job shutting that down.
Yeah, going for the Foxy Swindle play now. He also has the opportunity, if he wants to clear off this 4-2, punch it and backstab it, and get control of this board.
Exactly what he plans to do, continuing with his strategy of making sure that Hat just can't stick stuff to the board. And again, he picks up Libram Wisdom there. Would love to have a minion on board to actually pop it onto. All right, the
so
Dust Devil.
I think the hesitation for Arhat there was he wanted to play this 1-3, but knowing that it was going to shuffle Willis Scott's card, he was really happy shuffling in the Dust Devil, but he did not want to shuffle in that Libram of Wisdom. So he was rewarded with shuffling the card that I think he would have liked to have shuffled in.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
This 1-3. So.
I mean, if he could have stuck the Dust Devil and put his buffs on it, that's the ideal scenario, but also one that is fairly unrealistic. And Molestar with 2 generated cards there, both the Shadow Sculptors, which is really not what you'd like to see off of the World Kick Master there.
Probably, every once in a while you can get some use out of it, but it's generally probably considered the worst pickup there. You want cheap cards. There's so many cheap combo cards. And so Arhat now, he had the option to rally for 2 minions, but looking to develop a little bit more first, see if he can get kind of control this board back a little bit. But this is a point in game where if it wasn't for those really bad combo pickups by Molestar, he very well could be running away with this game. But now he's just kind of stuck and has to potentially just drop an Eviscerate without activating it just to play the miscreant behind it.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate hand setup, and as you said, the Shadow Sculptors really not helping. They are pretty much up like you said, at the top of the list for uselessness as far as the combo pieces that you can get off World Kick Go. Kidnapper was just the other one I was thinking of, and there it is, another high-cost combo card, but at least it has a little bit more utility, especially in this matchup.
Yeah, I think Kidnapper's, it's not ideal, but it's not the worst. I think that this 5-mana 3/5 or 2/5 that we see the Apothecary is probably the worst. At least Shadow Sculptor can draw you a card or two, but the Apothecary is just pretty much dead. So, so we'll see how Molestar plays this. The one nice thing that he has going for him is he's been able to stick this World Kick. Even though it's giving him garbage, it's still there, and it's still giving him more stuff. So definitely in his advantage so far this game.
Yeah, if nothing else, he has yet to play any of these cards that have been generated off of the World Kick. So Hat has to be wondering what in the heck is going on with his hand right now, and that's an evolve if I've ever seen one right there. That's a great hit for that Witchy Lackey.
I think that kind of makes up for some of this card generation Molestar's had, because right now he's just completely dominating this board, and Arhat does have a cheap Libram of Hope that he can play, but still looking pretty rough here.
Yeah, Consecration is in the deck in 2 copies, so that would be another way for Hat to get back in the game board-wise between that or Libram of Justice. But Libram of Justice itself does not clear the minions. They're already pretty low health anyway.
I think we're going to see a good use of this Kidnapper here. Trade off one of the 1/1s and then just bounce this Eldor back in hand along
Absolutely.
with the Libram attached to it.
I guess the good news for Hat is he can play it again next turn and then has a Libram of Hope for 1, which will be enough to at least prolong the game for a little bit.
I think that's what he's looking at. 'Cause it also,
yeah. And Urel the turn after, so there are options here.
Yeah, you can finally kill this World Kick as well. 6 turns later.
Yeah, World Kicks don't usually last more than the turn they're played unless you Shadow Step them. So for it to have lived that long is quite the achievement. That should actually be a Hearthstone achievement.
Yeah, World Kick lasts for 3 turns. Congratulations, you win the game.
Just keep kicking.
We'll see. So this does at least give our Hat a fighting chance here, depending on what the One Thief pulls. But yeah, like you said, with the Urel coming down potentially on the next turn, not good options here for Molestar. Another one for
yeah, nothing's going to want to play.
Yeah, probably the closest thing, just because Paladin does play a lot of spells, so that at least has the most utility. You know, you don't want to play Ice Barrier really, because it's not an aggressive play by any means. So I think this makes sense.
And luckily, the taunts in the way will absorb most of the damage that Molestar puts out. So Hat at an all-right life total, and Urel can be dropped with this Libram of Wisdom as well for a little bit extra healing.
Definitely a nice pickup there. Being able to play this Urel, that's giving our Hat a chance to claw his way back into this game. Nice pickup for the Foxy Frog with all these terrible combo cards, but imagine he plays it with especially with the Edwin here.
Yeah, I would say Van Cleef in hand is always nice.
The other thing too is you do have potentially the option to draw a couple cards, so try to make use of the Shadow Sculptor just to see if you can find some more threats or some way of getting rid of this.
Well, even something free like a backstab. Well, he's already used both backstabs, but like a prep or a Shadow Step.
Yeah. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to find anything to clear out this Icicles without punching it. So our Hat's back at full life, but Molestar still controls the board.
There's a free Devout Pupil with all the spells that have been played this game. So no hesitation from Hat. That's going down. I could conceivably see, Rally behind this as well.
Yeah, I think he probably just want to play your hand. I think the one thing he might want to wait on this Rally is to let this 2/2 die, but I think I'd rather just have the minions now.
Yeah, same idea.
4 feedback and a 1/3 is pretty good, so this is not bad.
Yeah, this is from a game where Hat looked like he was on the ropes to all of a sudden in pretty strong control here. There's a Shadow Step rather. So the zero mana cards all blend together a little bit sometimes. But without a card 2 defender will at least extend this game for Molestar, but nothing really in hand right now that you can say will be kind of driving him towards a win condition at this point. Both Eviscerates played.
Yeah. You might replay this Edwin actually, depending on how this turn goes.
Yep. Yeah, bump it first to get the kill, of course. Yep.
Yeah, and then play the card 2, Shadow Step. The Edwin after playing the Mermaid, that 1 mana pickup is pretty nice off of the cat, just an extra help up on Edwin. So about as good as you could hope for here with what Molestar is working with. Oh wow, it's a pretty nice pickup for the Libram of Justice there.
That's right on time.
Nice little bit of healing off of the card 2 for Molestar to get him out of death range, but this is going to be interesting. It kind of comes down to battle resources, and as much as Shadow Sculptor is generally not that great, it is going to give Molestar an opportunity to draw a little bit here, whereas our Hat's basically living off the top decks, and there's not too much in his deck that generates more cards except for the White Forge Crusader and potentially the other Hand of a Doll.
Liadrin as well will generate some cards.
True. Yeah, Liadrin.
I had a double take for a second because you didn't mention Liadrin. I was like, he is running Liadrin, right? Because that is kind of one of the key cards in the deck. Okay, so Hat now testing the secret. Knows it's not Flame Ward, Ice Barrier, Vaporize. Probably going to hold back this Allura. Yep. Till see if he can pick up a spell next turn. Ooh, plus,
is pretty nice with the secret
yeah,
passage.
plus the secret passage. That's definitely good timing there.
And so
And a
Hatchless isn't
second.
running Barov, and he's played both of his Libram of Justice, so his ability to answer this questing is a little bit more limited than it would have been at the start of the game.
And why not a
And we're going to see
second?
it in the second one, right behind it. So I wouldn't have minded a Janus here as well, just to go a little wider. I guess the consideration is that Consecration is in our head's deck. And like I said, there's not as many answers left for questing, so it probably makes sense to draw two. Kind of like the Fireball here. Puzzle Box, I guess, is an option if you're feeling a little insecure about the way this game is going, but Fireball is something that I think is almost certainly going to be useful, especially with these two questings to get this game done with.
Gonna go with the box though. Yeah, I mean, I think Flame Strike was the only one there that I would have said absolutely not to. Yeah, I can see. I mean, you're getting low on cards. He's got 6 cards left in deck. Actually, 8 cards after the reinsertion of the secret passage cards. So this is not a terrible choice. Interesting decision to play the 4/2 first.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Oh,
that's unfortunate.
If there's a class that can take advantage of that. I don't know if I would have played that with Altruist out there.
At this point, I think Hat is pretty much done with this game. If he's not dead this turn, it's gonna be pretty close. Let's see, 14. Every card he plays is gonna basically be worth 3 damage.
Oh,
wow, another terrible pickup.
And nothing playable. That's actually
brutal.
I mean, now he has to trade here, on the expectation that Hat could pick up some damage here.
Right. Yeah. Man, that's pretty rough for Molestar. These world kick this game. He's navigated it extremely well, all things considered, but man, it's pretty brutal. So I mean, if nothing else, he does keep his questings alive here. Granted, one of them will probably die to swing, and honestly, if Arhat doesn't pick up Consecration here, this game's probably over anyway. Yeah, it's as bad as Molestar has had it picking up stuff off the world kick. There's just too much stuff for the Paladin to deal with. Yeah, that one point in the game where he seems to be coming back, but I mean, the Rogue just is able to create and create and create. And Paladin is somewhat limited, so.
And Hat's going to give it up there. The first day of school top deck is pretty low impact at that juncture of the game. And we move to game 2 here coming up. 1-0 now. Molestar getting the win on Rogue. And of course, this being Pro Series, this is a Conquest Series. So that Rogue no longer playable the rest of the game. Or the rest of the series, I should say.
So with Molestar down to Priest and Mage on his side, I would not be shocked to see Arhat play his Rogue now. Seems like it would line up pretty nicely into those two classes.
Well, we're going to find out as Game 2 is starting right now.
Alright, goes with the Mage.
Or is
it?
Mage mine is an infinite load situation here. I've yet to see the game.
Alright, well, Arhat picked Mage, and Molestar picked Mage. So we will have Arhat's Highlander Mage against Molestar's Cyclone Mage. And pretty good pickups for Arhat here. A couple defensive tools to stop any early aggression from Molestar's side. And for Molestar, he has Sorcerer's Apprentice key in this deck, as well as a couple early game plays himself, followed by his kind of medium-sized hitters in the Jandis and the Raz. So I think both players probably reasonably happy with the cards that they're dealt initially. So.
And we are into the game now as we are actually, able to see and to get everything on stream here for everyone to view. So this is Solarian right off the drop there with the Primordial Studies play. Usually a pretty good choice in most situations.
Some of the lists for the Cyclone Mage have been cutting the Solarian, but Molestar is running it in his deck, and I think it's a pretty good choice off of the Primordial Studies,
Definitely.
still as one of the high impact minions available in that pool.
And speaking of Cyclone, Molestar is basically a Cyclone away from having a hand that he can just pop off there. He just played the Elemental Allies, which would have been a free spell if he had held it back with the Sorcerer's Apprentice, but instead he'll use that now, so that way he can hopefully get a draw a little bit later on.
So knowing the secrets that are in RidiculousHat's deck, it doesn't surprise me for him to just go ahead and attack and try to trigger a Flame War, which
Yep.
is what he ends up doing. So he knows that that one is now out of the pool. What's left for secrets for RidiculousHat would be a Counterspell and an Ice Barrier, along with whatever random secrets Ring Toss could potentially provide.
And I'm sure the Elemental Allies play was to test for that counterspell as well, figuring, okay, I can just go ahead and get rid of that. It's pretty low value, low impact most of the time, and I'm okay if that gets eaten by counterspell. We see the Ring Toss here. It's just one. It's a counterspell, so Molestar going to test it again. There's coin.
It was an interesting choice by RidiculousHat to go ahead and play that uncorrupted and then to pick Counterspell with Molestar still having the coin in hand. It does delay the what I assume would have been a Jandis on this turn, but yeah, I think it's probably not as big of an impact as RidicuLShat might have wanted from that card, but
I think honestly, I think it was to pump up Sage. I think he wants to play that on 6 with his hand the way it is.
It's a good point. Yeah, that's actually a really excellent point. Definitely the best reason to do what he did there.
Barov coming down from Molestar, like you said, just one turn later, and alright, Carousel Griffin Naga Sandwich. I'm gonna guess Sandwich gets the 1 health treatment based on the Divine Shield. And ooh. Yes, no, that's correct. This is an illusion.
Sorry, that's probably in that combustion now. Definitely kills one of the minions and puts a decent amount of damage on the other. So, and now he's got one of the new cards in his hand, the Glacier Racer, with probably the best synergy with it in the Ray of Frost. He does also run Frost Nova and Blizzard, so a couple more ways to get some pretty good value out of that card. But yeah, so we'll see how this ends up playing out. It's definitely a really interesting addition to the deck.
Speaking of new cards, we see the Imprisoned Phoenix, which is a dormant card here. That's dormant for 2 turns, spell damage +2. So Molestar will have a little bit of potent firepower behind his spells here in a couple turns. RidicuLShat using that Sage on, well, not on curve, on 7 to go ahead and get a bunch of cards out of his deck.
Molestar playing the Janus on 5. RidicuLShat just needed to clean that up instead of playing his own Sage, but this is a good time to play it. Retool his hand and prepare for whatever silliness Molestar is about to unleash on him.
Couple of Ray of Frost and a Magic Trick.
So we're getting close to what is kind of considered a pop-up turn for Molestar. He's going to have the Phoenix waking up here over the next 2 turns, holding an Apprentice in hand, as well as a whole bunch of cheap spells and an Evocation. So depending on what he draws, whether it's a Cyclone, a Shambhala, or even a Mana Giant, there are a lot of good payoffs for Molestar to really put some pressure on RidicuLShat.
Yeah, Frost Whisper too does quite a bit of damage with the bonus spell damage that's on board.
Yeah, not quite as impactful against these minions, but yeah, absolutely a pretty serious threat that RidicuLShat will absolutely prioritize removing.
Oh, Devolving Missile's a pretty decent pickup there. Can go ahead and get rid of the sticky part of the 3/4 Kartut Defender.
Yeah, you have to be
careful. A lot of
because,
lines here.
Yeah, with Evolving, it does seem good to get rid of that Kartut, but you got 2 somewhat understated 6-mana minions. You can very easily give RidicuLShat even more stats on the board than what you started with. So, it might get rid of the healing, but it also could be trouble, but he's going to go for it. So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, I think that plus the Ras Frost Whisper you're probably going to be able to handle most things. I guess. Oh my goodness. Well, look at you. Someone clip that. Icicles is a prophet because that's exactly what you predicted would happen.
Yeah, this works out because he has the Raz and the ability on the board to deal with most of this. You can actually leave the 7/6 alive if he wants, just to make RidicuLShat's turn that much more annoying. So we'll see what he ends up doing. Or he could just push all his damage face because he's getting to the point where he could find enough burn off of the dedication to end this game.
Solarian number 2 going into Molestar's deck, and yeah, this is a pretty pivotal draw here for our hat. It's not a good one. That's an unplayable card. Well, it's a playable card, but really, in the context of this turn here, not one you're going to want to utilize.
So there is a a world where our hat just goes in and plays this 4-mana Glacier, and then after freezing, yeah, probably freezes one thing, plays the Glacier, and then Frost Pulse the Rise, and gets rid of most of this. And I guess the spell damage is a little bit more threatening than the 5/2. Man, leaving 5 power on the board seems like a lot. Oh well, I didn't even. Yeah, I guess I hadn't noticed that the Racer does not hit your own minions. Good to know. So we'll see how much damage Molestar is able to find here. But
well, he's got Evocation and a couple free spells in hand too, so
yeah.
we're probably going to see a big full hand of spells.
Yeah, this is any damage whatsoever off this Evocation, and he's gonna have all 10 cards to pick from in this game to be able to.
I mean, he doesn't even. Oh, I was gonna say he might have not even needed it, depending on where that last missile went. But
See Arcane,
Blast. Yep, Apexis Blast is one of those damage spells.
So I guess the mage win. So that Devolving Missiles actually worked out pretty well in his favor. I don't know how much more our hat would have been able to do. Potentially playing the Inauspicious Rider, or Inconspicuous Rider, excuse me, to pull out the Ice Barrier potentially, just to get a little more healing. But that 7/6, making that Glacier Racer cost like 3 extra, is definitely the nail in the coffin for our hat's mage there.
And now it comes down to, it will need to be a reverse sweep here for Hat, and only the Priest left.
So our Hat playing his third deck in 3 games, making sure they're all represented. But I do think this is a good pick, playing the aggressive weapon rogue here. Makes a lot of sense. Priest has a lot of shenanigans that it can pull out, but sometimes the rogue can just get you before the shenanigans really take hold. So I think that's what Farhat's going to be looking to do, and this is a pretty nice curve right off the bat, 1, 2, 3. So he's got to be happy with this start. And for Molestar on the Priest, the absolute key card here is the Nazmani Bloodweaver. That, in conjunction with this Ethic, but even the Bloodweaver by itself, can just allow for some crazy power turns. So doesn't have it quite yet. So he's going to be off to a little bit of a slow start, potentially, depending on what he draws. And our hat is not going to be slowing down whatsoever with 5 damage already on the board and more stealth to follow up right behind it.
Yeah, Hat playing even quicker than normal, but yeah, these turns are pretty understandable here, and this is going to be an important hit if it goes into stealth. It ruins the curve the Hat was working on, but picks up a second Spy Mistress. Yeah, it gives him another couple stealth options and lets him fill out his curve.
Every stealth minion in the deck almost already being played, so our Hat should almost certainly be able to play the Sage on the next turn for the draw. We'll see what Molestar is able to pick off his inside. There's not too many minions in the deck. It really relies on the spell synergy. So you've got Veil Weavers, you've got Lucia, Blood Weavers, Cobalt Spell Cannon, Murzon. So, and Cleric Scale being the worst pickup. Being able to Draconic Studies for a Dragon allows it to at least be active, but yeah, not what he would have preferred off of the insight there.
Second Rally, Gift of Luminance. There's a couple choices I can see going with here. Probably not the Raised Dead.
Pretty rough here. I mean, all of these are contingent on having those 2 key cheap minions in Veil Weaver and Blood Weaver, which we haven't seen at all. So, yeah, I guess Gift of Luminance potentially as being something that gives you a little more board presence. Raise Dead is also an option if you want to hurt yourself to get more draw off of your clerics, because that's what you're going to have in your pool. And it looks like that's what he's going for. So, yeah, I think Renew here is the choice. You're not guaranteed to stick a minion. It's not likely that our hat's going to be trading into anything here, but he does run, I think he runs a couple backstabs, so I think taking the, oh, he actually goes for the Hoist Might, so different way.
Well, there's a backstab. He'll draw a few more cards, picks up the Self-Sharpening Sword, which is one of the most important cards in the deck. And Hat smartly trades there, knowing the only way this Priest can really come back is if he starts to stick a minion, heals it with Apotheosis, and that is not something Hat wants to allow.
Yeah, with the Holy Smite pickup from Molestar on the last turn, probably going to see Raise Dead into both of these clerics being played, trying to just get through his deck so he can actually get those minions on the table.
Mm-hmm. See
And
Draconic
most
Studies.
likely, yeah, both of these Holy Smites are going to get played this turn, just to stop some of this damage. Is he going to raise that again? I think Bomb Ring actually makes a lot of sense. He's still on 3 mana, right? So playing
Yeah.
that allows all these spells to be discounted, several to 1 mana.
And another Renew. Or Insight if he'd like to try to dig more for those minions.
Yeah, he won't have the option to do that this turn, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Renew come out. Just because he can just keep that roll in this turn. So Molestar is having himself a pretty good turn, even without the additions of the 2 Weavers. So it just goes to show what this deck is capable of, even what might otherwise be considered somewhat of a weaker turn or a weaker start. He's still able to stem some of the tide from our head's perspective.
And a Holy Nova pickup, too, pretty important because right now that's going to get rid of 3 minions. Ooh, new Envoy Rustwicks.
Yeah. Yeah, not something that generally comes into to play for a weapon rogue, but that being said, if this priest is able to hang on and sort of turn this game around, then that could give our head just that little extra juice to get over the. So.
And Molestar saw the rush minion go into his and not die, so knows that Envoy Rustwicks is only a 1 health. Smartly goes ahead and uses the Nova to get rid of it. Luminance, yeah, it's a good use there.
Up to have a couple minions stick here with 2 Apotheosis in hand.
And there's a Prime right off the top for our hat. The Reliquary Prime, the Priest healing one, was one of the ones that Rustwicks threw into the deck.
That's pretty funny. It's not a bad one. It's definitely difficult for Priest to deal with, so
very
definitely come into play here.
Oh, double Interfire off the Cobalt.
I'd be surprised to see the 2 mana Apotheosis get played here.
There's a Veil Weaver, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I think Molestar is actually feeling pretty good about this game, being able to stop that initial surge. The weapon is definitely a threat.
Ooh. And the top deck Nitro Boost, oh my goodness.
So this weapon's going to get very, very quickly, and I'm going to be able to draw 2 more cards off of it. So what was looking like...
Deadly Poison! It's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, so, okay. Now Molestar needs to start coming up with ways to heal. And we see him already playing the Veil Weaver and most likely Apotheosis here to start with, and then see what else comes. Being able to double up on healing with the Luminance. That's 1/1. A little extra with the Inner Fire. I'm getting the best generations. Gravering's pretty nice, generally. Silence is really nice. Just another cheap, free actually.
Yep.
Spell that keeps
the chain going. That Krasnov was dying either way, so the silence wasn't necessarily to stop its effect, but just to go ahead and cycle for another spell. Does he Secret Passage and try to go for the kill right here? I think he's going to.
I think you need to, yeah. You're running Eviscerates, which we haven't
There's
seen.
An Eviscerate.
So
there's Scimitar doesn't help. And there's another Prime. Oh, Nitro Boost, that does it!
That should do it, yeah.
That's 18 total, that's it! Wow, that's such a potent deck.
Yeah. No, it was a good decision by our hat to just immediately launch into looking for that lethal with so many ways to finding it. This priest was just starting to get its feet under it and able to kind of turn this game around, but our hat shut the door on that pretty quickly, so just 1 on the board. And we'll get to see this priest again against, I would guess, our hat's mage.
Yeah, he smartly realized that the longer that game went on, the worse it got for his rogue there, and pretty good play despite the fact that he's a pirate Valera. Shade. I do not like that portrait. I was kind of hoping you'd have an opinion. Now I just seem like a jerk.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I like it. It's the next one on my list to hit 1,000 wins with, so not quite there yet, but I did pick the rogue skin off the battle pass. So
of course you did, because it's the best one.
Arguable, but it was the one that had the least competition. So Pirate Warrior, I think, is definitely polarizing. I come down right in the middle. I think it's a good skin. Maybe not my favorite rogue one, but definitely don't judge anyone for using it. Donde.
Eh, I'm a
All right,
judger.
so we see our head going for the Paladin here, interestingly enough. I guess he doesn't want to get into a generation fight with his priest, trying to just curve out quickly on his Paladin and do what his rogue did and just kill priest before it really gets out of control. And once again, we see a little bit of a slower developing hand from Molestar without the minions in hand that the deck relies on. But Draconic Studies does give him Spider Drake, which will be able to play next turn. That'll be pretty beefy, so not a bad pickup there.
And as RHAT tries to fit as many possible minions onto the board as he can in the early going here, I know we've talked about how fast he plays, and Molestar's kind of keeping up in terms of speed. Does this ever get in your opponent's head at all when you're playing as fast as humanly possible, and your opponent just kind of, sitting there wondering like, what am I don't get any extra time to think. I mean, I can use my rope.
Yeah, I think it comes down to two things. One, your experience level in playing this type of competitive match. Because I think the generally less experienced you are, the more likely you are to just pick up the pace and play at the same tempo as your opponent. And the other factor I would say is how comfortable you are with your deck. And the way that Molestar is playing this priest deck, it seems like he's very comfortable with it. And so a lot of the decisions that he's making are, I think, somewhat straightforward so far in the game, so it doesn't surprise me that he's playing quickly now. He might slow down here on this turn, depending on what he's thinking. But then again, Apotheosis and Go seems like a pretty good choice.
Yeah, that's a painful minion to have to remove here for RHAT. He's gonna have to put multiple things into it. Molestar's likely going to go to he's almost certainly going to full health, unless second Libra Wisdom. Well, he's gonna go to full health either way, but he's gonna have to get rid of a bunch of minions to do it.
So RHAT's going to be able to get a couple of good minions off this rally, the Acorn Bear and the Shotbot. So I'm wondering if Molestar might have been better served to killing the Secret Keeper, just because it would have been a little bit less of a resource. In terms of value, killing the 2-1 and then healing your minion back to full made a lot of sense, but giving our head just that little bit extra juice might be something that Molestar might have reconsidered when he goes back and looks at the replay of this game. Palmering, I think, makes sense here because you're looking for something you don't have right now. That's AoE. Everything in his deck is kind of more suited towards building up your own minions or dealing with 1 or 2 minions with the Hysterias. So Palmering makes sense. Made a lot of sense there.
Mass Dispel and AoE, but not one that causes damage. Also, as we pointed out last game, Molestar not really finding the key minions that you want to have for the rally.
Yeah, it's not slowing him down quite yet. And RHAT's got a really expensive hand, but he's at the point in the game where those expensive cards are going to be extremely useful. So picks up
Oh,
a pretty,
second Urel.
yeah, I was going to say pretty decent options here.
Very decent.
Stuff that you really want against Priest, another Urel. You get the Lethraxian, which gives all of your Silver Hands Divine Shield. Sethic's Pride can draw you, let's see what's in his deck. Absolutely nothing, which is fine. And and the Blue Merchants and Lethraxian are pretty good sustain here. That is going to be pretty obnoxious for Molestar to deal with if this game continues to drag on. So.
Yeah, Lethraxian plus Carnival Barker equals
Barker too,
he became Dude Pally all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah, it should be pretty fun. It's definitely gonna, I mean, this priest deck already does this, where it already has to basically create different game states out of thin air, essentially. But this Badman's just going to add to it this game, so it's going to be a pretty exciting one to see how these players navigate it.
Yeah, it feels like this is going to end up being a slugfest the rest of the way, with just minion after minion coming down, lots of blows being traded back and forth, and we're going to see an overdraw here for Hat, thanks to these squirrels getting put in hand. Truth Seeker, I mean, I guess there are worse cards to burn. You'd really like that discount, but it's not. I don't think it's the end of the world for Hat.
No, I think the probably the most critical one would have been Leadrin. I think that would have been his worst case scenario. I think everything else would have been, he could have negotiated with himself to say that's fine, I can survive that.
I mean, from Molestar's perspective, obviously you're hoping for something big, that or like a Libram Hope. We saw both of those were in RHAT's hand already, so those weren't getting burned.
He's already played the Light Forward Crusader. He's already got the first URL in his hand. Now he's got two. So
Yeah.
yeah, there weren't too many terrible options there for RHAT to burn one. Now Molestar with two Veil Weavers on the board just gets to kind of do a whole lot of stuff and see how he decides to deploy these brand new resources and what new ones he gets.
Yeah, a lot of these turns tend to be like old Miracle Rogue, where you're not really sure where the turn's going to take you until you start to get into the flow of it because of all the generation, which Molestar, he's kind of working with hand size issues now too.
Yeah, yeah, certainly something to keep in mind when playing with multiple Veil Weavers on the board. So RHAT's got a lot of beef on the board, but the question is, can he deal with these minions? And I think he can. I think one of the URLs might come
Yeah.
down here.
I was going to say, Urel is the only real way that he can go ahead and deal with it all this turn, it would feel like.
He could also play the Barker and the Swirls. He's covering that right now, but I think that might be a later play. So
yeah, he plays the Urel that's in the deck, so for to this point, no information given.
So I think, man, trading two minions into a 1/1 feels really bad. And as much as you don't want to leave a Veil Weaver on the board, yeah, I don't fault RHAT for just slamming face with those two minions.
And Hysteria goes on the 8/5. We'll see where it goes.
No, it's absolutely killing at least the URL.
Well, yeah, we were seeing how many minions it killed before it kills the URL.
Mm-hmm. So once again, full hand, Veil Weaver on the board, just a whole lot of stuff. Let's see where he starts.
Rally can bring another Veil Weaver back too.
Yeah, we still haven't seen a Blood Weaver yet, which is really the power of this deck. And we'll start trying to navigate 2 games in a row without having that key resource. So.
Also kind of trying to balance here between, what do I play to get stuff out of my hand and not put stuff back into my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Going to use that Raised Dead, picks up 2 more minions, and will give him space. Picks up 2 of the higher cost minions too, the Twilight Drake and the big ol' whelp.
Yeah. So RHAT's probably looking to fish this Consecration out. He also could. I think that's probably just the best thing at this point. You just want to get that out. It might be the Lothraxian behind it. Seems to make a lot of sense. Just gets the other Libram.
Instead gets the Libram.
Well, that's a little scary. I guess you still have Leadder in the deck, but now having both Librams on the same target is a pretty prime option for this Master Spell coming down now. So it's not quite as critical for the Pure Paladin as it would be for Broom because you're not running Pinflingers, so that constant refueling and losering is not part of this deck, but still not something you wanted to give up just for a generated Master Spell. It's really tough. I kind of wish I had Molestar on the bottom. Just trying to read all these cards upside down is a little bit challenging sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot. I guess this is why they call it Stuff Priest.
Yeah. So the stuff that he has is not quite what you necessarily want in a situation. You're looking for some removal, maybe Shower, Pain of Death, or some of these minions. It's kind of a little awkward. I mean, you're not necessarily that afraid yet of dying from this Paladin. Not until you see the Libram of Get 'em or something like that. But yeah, it's a little awkward on Molestar's side. Although he still has plenty of stuff to do. It's just not maybe the stuff he would have chosen to do. And from RHAT's side, again, you're trying to think of how you end this game, how you kill this priest, and you see him slowed down on the generation from the Veil Weavers, so you're not maybe considering those not as much of a threat. I think at this point, playing out the Squirrel, the Salhats, and or I guess he's going for the Leader Injustice, so I guess he wants to get rid of this 410 and then start trying to just push damage with not a lot of threats on Molestar's board.
Yeah, the Dude Pally prophecy has, has started to come true here with the Carnival Barker after the Lithraxian already came down. Making those minions at 2-3 a clip with Divine Shield is very irritating.
Certainly. So we see Lucia picked up by Molestar. Probably not going to see that played. I think that is more likely to hurt Molestar than help him.
Yeah, at this point, too, our hat would only have 2 cards that Molestar could play, because Yrel and Libram of Hope would be too expensive on the backs of a 3-cost Lucia. So he's going to get a
Yeah.
Carnival Barker.
We didn't mention it before, but Murzond getting that Libram of Justice was maybe a reason for our hat to consider waiting on that. I don't know if the Twilight Drake was necessarily the biggest threat to warrant the use of that Libram of Justice, but definitely does get penalized for it with Murzon coming down. So we'll see how our hat is able to kind of recover and get control of his board back.
It looks like it's going to be Yrel round 2.
Probably gonna have to just punch this with his face, which is offset by the healing from Yrel. So kind of status quo with him having the bigger minion once again. Palm Reading, Soul Mirror is a nice pickup here. Something that's not run in the deck naturally. So big pickup for Molestar being able to just answer more of these Paladin threats. And he's at the point now where as much as he's generated, as much as he's seen from Paladin, even with that really like higher than average Crusader, that Molestar is going to be able to kind of choke our hat out of this game here over the next few turns.
It took 22 cards to find even one of the Nazmani Bloodweavers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just, I don't even know that fatigue's going to be an issue for Molestar here with how many cards he's going to put together. So.
Interesting here, the Barker summons a Barker with Gift of Luminance and gives it the Barker buff.
Pretty nice. Yeah, so Molestar's game plan now is just kill anything our hat puts on the board, and our hat is going to have a really tough time sticking anything and kind of making his way through the last few stages of this game. Libram of Hope's nice. It can get answered pretty easily by Soul Mirror. Right now, it's clearly the best option for Molestar.
Does he breath first to go ahead and get rid of the Divine Shields before he uses the Soul Mirror, you think?
I mean, he'll get rid of the I don't think he needs to. He needs his own 8A. I think he'd rather just kill it.
Right.
He's got so much in his hand, and now he's guaranteed the rally, getting the Bloodweaver back. So using that to proc the Soul Mirror, and then just keep playing cards until Soul Mirror's equals your mana, and then play it at that point. Seems to be a pretty good line for Molestar here.
Yeah, it's just crazy how much this priest can put out in terms of just board flood, and it's quality board flood too, because of all the effects that these minions have between the Veilweaver giving you random stuff and the Nazmani discounting it. Ultimately, you just don't really run. I mean, like priest decks in the past have really relied on Galakron to be that hit the button infinite value generator. You don't need that anymore.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get through this without even bothering with the Soul Mirror. So, yeah, I mean, just using his resources as efficiently as possible, just making this Paladin's life as miserable as possible. So we'll see at what point our hat decides to throw in the towel, but it's not looking great. Liadrin's nice.
Liadrin is one of those cards that might save the game. I mean, we've seen both Librams of Hope get played, Librams of Wisdom, of course, so you gotta free up that hand space to see if maybe could survive a little bit longer. Though the Librams are not nearly cheap enough to be, a savior on their own.
Right. Playing all this stuff, but we'll see how Molestar is able to generate enough extra damage to get lethal here. He needs 8 damage away. Apotheosis adds 2, gives him opportunity for the Veilweaver to give more stuff. Later pulls an extra 1, so we'll just keep going, see if we can find a Inner Fire or something like that.
Nova clears most of the opponent's board too. So
Yeah,
probably not going to
between
find the damage this turn, but going to get rid of all the threats.
between Nova and Political, everything's dead.
Yeah, that is a pretty brutal turn for Hat there to even consider any sort of comeback. I don't see what he could draw at this point that would get him out of it. Goody Two Shields is not that card. Leodrin will be played, but, you know, far too little, far too late. Make that, yeah, this
Gives
is,
him a lead room.
it's a suicide in a way.
Yeah. So Pyro Priest doing things that, depending on your perspective, feel really good or really bad.
You know, I warned Hat before he came on stream tonight. I told him that my teammates never win when I'm casting them. I think I told you this too, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
So, yeah. Not a surprising result, as Molestar is a very good player, and Hat was on my stream. So that's those are the combination that you need in order to suffer your first defeat of the season. So Hat will drop to 3-1, and Molestar will pick up the win for Swagoi, which will make this now an 11-9 lead for AEON. So with one match to go, it is far from a sure thing as far as the result is concerned here.
Come down to the best words in THL, match 5.
Match 5, yes. I was like, we're not playing game 5 tonight. Well, let's see if we can get Molestar in here for an interview. Alright, he'll be making his way in just a second.
I know Arhat won't be part of this interview, but I'd be curious to get his perspective on playing the Paladin over the Mage there. Because Mage usually has the advantage over Priest, but hello, hello.
Hello.
How's it going tonight? Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
So, I guess, you know, none of us had seen that Priest in action on stream yet, as it's a new one from the mini set. Take us through your thought process on bringing it and just the overall play of it.
I'm going to be honest, that was my first time playing that Priest, like, ever. I took it from, somebody had it on Swagoi, and then, like, I knew, I played, like, this type of Priest before, so I thought I could, like, just do it on the fly.
I mean, you would have fooled us. I mean, it seemed like you had a pretty good handle of it. A lot of those turns are very, very difficult. They're managing your hand space, make sure you get the right minions back. But it seemed to work out pretty well, and just far too much for the Paladin to deal with. So, you know, when you looked at that deck, what made you think, like, I have to bring this to Pro this week?
Because I know, like, spoilers, like Hat typically brings, like, more aggressive decks, and, like, this Priest is a little bit faster than like the usual Highlander, and it can like heal a bit more. So I went with this version.
All right.
Yeah,
good enough reason for me.
Watching that road game, and you were pretty close to turning the corner there. He had a pretty nutty draw with the secret passage and being able to find that last bit of lethal, or else that game very easily was turning towards you on the Priest. So definitely got to see that work out pretty well overall.
Not only that, a big win for the week, as we were just saying, this goes ahead and makes it a 2-point series here between AEON and Swagoi. So we're looking at it coming down to the final match. I'm just refreshing here to see. It's Markshire versus Cookie Monster. I think they were supposed to play tonight, is that right? But it got pushed back there.
Yeah, you would know. You're
I would know. I just can't. I can't look in the Discord without wrecking the Discord games. Right
that's fine. But no, another question from Molestar there. Going back to the first game with the Rogue versus Pally, and your generation off the World Case was
I know
it was not what you're looking for. What was going through your mind there?
Suspect at best.
Like I just try to make it work, I guess. Like Um, I mean, I relied on the top deck. Like, I just went with like throwing out stuff and relying on top deck to like activate combos and stuff. Like, cause I knew I had to, cause it was like getting slow, and then he actually like killed the full, and like that changed the game plan a bit.
Yeah, it's always tough when the rolls don't go your way there, but you managed to get through it pretty fine.
Yeah, apparently, Pure Paladin can run out of gas.
Who knew?
Kind of where we saw all the games go. Even the rogue game where he was able to win. Like the decks that you brought, the priest, the mage, the rogue, all have just a ridiculous amount of generation, and I think that kind of showed what the paladin's missing, not being able to keep up with that level of value and not being able to hit the early curve the paladin would have needed to kind of negate it before it started. So I think a pretty good choice as far as overall lineup construction and well navigated because obviously pulling out those turns with cards that you're not used to seeing, even on that rogue with cards you don't want to see, is it's pretty impressive. So we'll play by you.
All right. Well, Molestar, anything you'd like to say before we head off for the evening?
Um, I'm just really excited for the final match in our series of Cookie versus Markshire. Like, it's gonna come down to the wire.
Yeah, should be maybe we can get that one on stream tomorrow, depending on when it gets rescheduled to. If there's space for it, that would be pretty fantastic. But should be an exciting finish of the series, and Swagoi definitely a team on the rise too. So congratulations to you guys being right in it here, and of course, as we go deeper into the season, we're still not even halfway through, but definitely a team that I'm sure we'll be seeing in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us here. And Icicles, thank you for joining me on the cast tonight. Fantastic series, fast series. I mean, they were playing so fast that we still almost hit an hour, so at least we filled our quota for the one series stream.
Sir, enjoyed it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we will be back with you next week. If as always, if you'd like to be on stream, let us know. 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Eastern. Always looking for matches, so please feel free to DM anytime. We will have our Sunday School Stone tomorrow afternoon, followed by the Sunday Showdown tomorrow night. Other than that, make sure to tune in for our not our non-match shows, our talk shows, starting on Monday with Around the Saloon. Icicles, I think a few of us might be there on Monday. Is that true?
Don't give it away, but it should be a fun show.
All right. I think it was given away already because he announced it, and then
Yeah,
we couldn't do it this week. So same cast, just the next week. But thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Looking forward to seeing you again. If you have matches remaining, good luck the rest of the week, and we will see you around the Discord. Have a good night.
Yeah.